From Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back to back bombs. From Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A-Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast.
Your record says you are. So lucky enough for us, we've been able to correct some of the mistakes that we had the first 4 weeks of the year. Been able to come in and play some better football. Looks like Nick Fangio is earning his keep and living up to his reputation. The guy on our staff that I want to give the biggest shout out to is probably Kellen Moore because the knocks of what he wasn't in Dallas, he has humbled himself. And not that he needed to humble himself to the team, but when you're in a position like that, you have to humble yourself to your ego. And the things he was criticized for not doing well when he was in Dallas, he's completely has changed that. Not only did he bring the element of motion to help Jalen be able to help decipher defenses in, we finally have a all-out commitment to run the ball. And I don't care who your dude is, where he plays, until somebody comes and takes the mantle or he falls off. The MVP of the league this year is wearing number 26 and he's in white and green. And I want to give another special shout out to the New York Giants front office for being a bunch of goddamn retards.
Well, let's just touch on the Giants really quickly because that off-season Hard Knocks with them is probably my favorite season of Hard Knocks I've ever seen. Because anyone that knows me knows I love team building. That's why I get so into the Mariners lineup and what they're doing for transactions. That's why I love the NFL draft. That's why I love free agency. I love team building. And not only did they lose Saquon Barkley, which is the most obvious one, but they let their starting safety from Alabama, Xavier McKinney, they let him walk out the door also. And all that dude has done is led the entire NFL in interceptions for Green Bay this year. The famous quote that will be what eventually gets him fired. Remember this quote, RG? Joe Shane tells the owner, or he tells one of his staffers, we're not paying a $40 million quarterback to pay a $12 million running back. And we already know Daniel Jones has been cut, is on Minnesota. Boy, New York is going to be looking for a whole new football operations staff. Certainly in the front office, maybe the coaches. But you're right, though. Saquon has turned it around because don't get it twisted. The Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in football, but Saquon is that special back that can really, you know, they might block it for 6 yards. He might take it to the house. That's the kind of dude he is.
You give a guy like that motivation and not letting him feel loved and like he wasn't worth anything, and you get him around a better offensive line, around, and he even gave love to the running backs coach and says he made this the most easiest transition ever. He believed in me. It a little bit of faith in someone, no matter what it is, whether you're an athlete, whether you drive for UPS, whether you drive for Dot Foods. Just when you show someone you actually believe in what it is that they're doing, they get extra motivated for you. So he's out here wanting to put on the performances of a lifetime. And I would say over the last 8 weeks, that's exactly what he's done.
You're damn right. You're damn
You
right,
can't be
man.
on the show. You can't be on the
Shit,
show.
bro.
YouTube doesn't like you.
Man, my oh my loves the furry friends. If y'all could see RG, he's trying to keep his little doggy out the way, but y'all know we
Little,
all got a special
little.
little.
This dude's
Yeah, fair
110 pounds.
enough. He matches his daddy.
Pretty much. Heavy hitters. Heavy hitter production.
Oh shit, dude.
Oh man, let's give a live shout out to the people rocking with us in the chat. Meredith's Life for Sunny Evening Media, Texas Power Ranger. Saquon is the MVP, in my opinion, are the Texans frauds. We'll get into that here in a little bit as we deep dive into some NFL over the week. 110 pounds. Yeah, man, he's a black lab, a half healer. I've had him for going on 11 years now. Um, on his hind legs, he can look me in the face, and I'm roughly about 6 foot 6'1". So, nah, he's a big boy. He's a big boy and fast too. Fast. Loves chasing down crazy things here in the here in my neighborhood. Black labs are the best. I got three. Yeah, man, he's been a blessing to me. I got him when my mom passed, and he's been he's been a loyal companion to me ever since. A little bit crazy, but he gets that from his daddy.
Well, rest in peace.
Man,
Glad
thanks.
that he found a
Yeah,
good home.
absolutely, absolutely. And rest in peace to yours too. I know it was one of those times a year for you as well too. And also, somebody while we were gone turned 40 years old.
I'm officially over the hill. I'm officially over the hill. It's all downhill from here. So you'll love this, RG. My grandpa Matsumoto used to always have a saying. He'd say it 15 times a day when you're around him. Getting old is hell.
I don't know, man. To me, getting old is a blessing, considering how I lived my life when I was a teenager and into my early 20s.
Mm.
Um, to be a detriment to my community, to have grown out of that, avoided jail, and got to see the other side of what life can be while I'm not out here in the streets chasing fast money. I think getting old is a blessing. So I'm proud of these gray hairs in the beard.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yo, so my wonderful wife Katie is, I want to say, this is terrible, 3 or 4 years younger than me, but she's always looking for my first gray, and she gets real excited when she thinks she find one, man. But 9 times out of, or not 9 times, 100% of the time, it's been our dog Griffey that had some of his white hair that's ended up on my shit because he's always on all of our pillows. But Sunday evening, thank you very much, man, and I'm with Texas Power. I love Saquon Barkley right now. And to me, this is one of those games where Saquon and Lamar are probably the top two competitors right now. And they just went head to head, and we saw what happened. So right now, you got to give it to Saquon. I still think the MVP is a little bit overrated, in my opinion, just because it seems like maybe like I should say like the champion doesn't always win the MVP, and it is such a regular season award. But hey, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from anybody. This has been so. Let's just take last year really quickly. The MVP seemed kind of watered down last year. I would say there's like 4 or 5 guys putting up seasons this year that all would have trumped last year's MVP. That's just my opinion.
I'll give you a way to look at it. Without the four MVPs on his resume, do you feel the way about Aaron Rodgers that you feel the way about him? Not you personally, just the media, the way he's talked about, the echelon that he's held in. Without four MVPs, do you really think that he's held in that same regard? Because if you take those four MVPs away from him, he's Drew Brees, he's Trent Dilfer, he's Brad Johnson, he's Russell Wilson. Just going off of names off the top of my head of who won
Mm.
one Super Bowl and have been a one hit wonder. He's those guys if you take those four MVPs away from his resume. So it it helps build, I guess. Um, like you, I'm not absolutely sold. Yeah, Nick Foles, Joe Flacco. You watch your mouth about Nick Foles, greatest Eagle of all time. You name only one other quarterback has ever beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. You watch your mouth about Nick Foles. Well, yeah, man, just it's hard. It's definitely hard to always look at that guy like he's absolutely the best. Um, the winner of the MVP. I thought that Lamar deserved it, and the way that he plays, the dynamic that he brings to the game when Baltimore's running, it's hard. It's hard to stop that cat. Um,
Mhm.
so I can't say that the award is watered down. Um, but I definitely wish that we were away from this era where only quarterbacks win the MVP and the Heisman.
Hmm.
Um, I'm happy to have one of the non-quarterback winning Heisman Trophy winners on our football team, Devontae Smith, the Slim Reaper. Baltimore has one with Derrick Henry. Um, I wish there was more parity in the award, but I can't really say it's watered down.
Okay. Okay. Well, food for thought then. This year's Heisman Trophy will go to a non-quarterback. No matter who you
Absolutely.
think should win it, it will 100% go to a non-quarterback. Ashton Genty, one of the most incredible seasons we've seen in a really long time. I don't care what conference he plays in. It, he is absolutely carrying his team. And then Travis Hunter, say what you will, man. I mean, this guy has been an elite top five, top 10 type of player at two positions. I don't know if we've really seen that before, so that's going to be really fun. And I do think there's a really good chance that the NFL MVP is a running back. Let's just say the Eagles finish with only 2 or 3 losses and Saquon keeps ripping the league up. I bet you he does get the award at that point.
I would hope so. I would hope so. In our 93 years as an organization, we haven't had one NFL MVP.
Mm,
So I definitely hope that he continues well enough to be able to stay on that streak and just stay a little bit ahead of Derrick Henry. I love Derrick Henry though. There's just I Saquon reminds me of watching Reggie Bush in high school. Derrick Henry reminds me of watching a grown man play football with little kids, and you better hope to God you tackle him because he's throwing you 55 feet.
mm.
Let's check in with some of the chat here. Is Eli Manning a first ballot Hall of Famer? You know, we're going to have an MVP discussion here a little bit later on, Mariners Lifers. So hold on and stay tuned with us as we rock through a little bit of this format to get through that. Tommy, homeboy Tommy in the building tonight says Saquon will break the record, win MVP, and lead the Eagles to at least NFC Championship. Out of your ears, out of your mouth to God's ears, baby. Let's hope it goes down at least in that order. The schedule kind of plays out a little bit well for us. We have the Panthers next week, then the division championship the week after that versus Washington, and then the rematches with Dallas, the Giants, and there's one other team in there I'm forgetting that we closed out the rest of the year with. But it's right in front of us, and if we just handle business, we'll get there. And yes, we haven't played a murderer's row of teams this year like we did last year, but you can only play who's scheduled in front of you. They do look good. They've been able to answer the test as they move along. So when we get to the playoffs, we'll come up against some of the bigger boys and be evenly matched. But just the way that we're playing right now, I definitely have more confidence in our coaching staff now compared to what we did last year.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you could speak on this. We all remember that Seahawks Eagles night game, and they basically targeted James Bradbury for every completion on the game
Mhm.
winning drive. The Eagles have been really good across their roster the last few years. Their one weakness being the secondary. They hit home runs with Quenyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Huge,
They did.
huge. We said it, and I never know how these guys are going to pan out when I try to do my amateur grading on draft classes. But the one thing you always look at is, are the teams getting consensus good players at positions of need? And the Eagles clearly hit home runs on those two picks. And boy, Jalen Carter's making a lot of teams wish they would have taken the risk on him the way he's playing this year.
Haley Carter, that I've given my opinion about it before. I think that that was just so unfair to do that to that young man.
Mm,
Yes, he was involved in a street race that ultimately led to the life loss of two lives that were in the opposite car from him. But also at the other flip of the coin, those were all the adults who all got in those two cars and decided to go out and race. So how is that one guy's fault? It's not like he ran them off the road. They lost control of the car that they were in, and how should he be penalized for that? He's only responsible for driving one car. But Hey, I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did. He was able to fall from us, and I'm telling you, the Georgia Bulldogs that we went and drafted are now starting to grow up and mature, and they bring that culture with them where they're out there and they know that they're there to dominate. So I love where we're at right now. Hopefully, we can keep it moving and stay healthy. That's the most important thing. The chat is lit right now. Let's see. Chat is going in. Sunday Evening Media says that if the Eagles they can't play like they did tonight against the Lions. Tommy jumped in, believing that the Ravens are better than the Lions. The homie Tay Williams, here we go himself, says that Tommy's tripping. Um, it's still a lot of football left to be played. We'll definitely see how it all goes out. It's unfortunate that when you're in the two separate conferences, you really only get to play each other once every 4 years, and the stars might not be aligned for you to play when both of you were at strength. Because a Lions Ravens matchup would be great to watch. A Eagles Lions NFC Championship would be great to watch. Watching Detroit get a shot at Kansas City would be great to watch. Can't forget about them Buffalo Bills. They're playing well. They got a chance to move to 10-2 tonight as well too. And a team that's under the radar that no one's really talking about is the Vikings. All they're doing is just winning games as well too. With
Hmm.
Sam fucking Darnold of all people. No one had on their bingo card in 2024 that Sam Darnold would have would have a 9-3 record this far into the season.
Situation matters. When's the last time we seen a quarterback for the Jets succeed? We saw Sanchez
Ooh,
for a 2-year run, but I mean, are we
Sanchez.
gonna are we gonna go all the way back to Joe Namath for a sustained run at quarterback for that
Uh,
franchise?
yeah, because Chad Pennington was pretty much a one-hit wonder with him due to the injuries that he sustained.
Yeah,
Yeah, jeez. Poor old Aaron Rodgers.
tough being a Jets fan, man.
Sure
Seahawks did
is.
everything they possibly could to lose that game, and they somehow pulled it out of their ass. Thank the Lord.
Sure is, man. But also, that's what you get when you run your mouth and karma comes back and bites you sometimes. And
Mm.
it turns out that maybe Salah wasn't the problem.
Well, you're relying on a 40-year-old quarterback, and from what we've seen, what have we seen? One or two successful quarterbacks past 40. We got to stop pretending that Tom Brady's the norm when he's the biggest outlier in sports history, possibly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even LeBron is getting ready to cross that threshold where if you think you're going to get 22 years out of someone at that level playing at 40 years old, you're out of your mind.
Hmm.
Out of your mind. I mean, for the Jets, I think it's a move that you have to make, but your contingency plan kind of need to be a little bit better than this guy's going to be what he was at 34, 35, 36. Almost sounds like the way the Mariners front office thinks, don't you think?
I'm telling you, man, with our hole at third base, they might try to bring Kyle Seager out of retirement, even though it's been 2 or 3 years.
Shit, they dig up Brooks Robinson if they could.
He still might be more productive than the dudes we've rolled out the last couple years. Actually, I
It
shouldn't say
doesn't have
that.
to be that
Suarez
way.
was good.
Suarez was good. Suarez was good. In the last half of the season, I know I was one of those people who were fighting with people in bleacher like, bet you wish you had Gino there now.
Mm.
Don't give me this Josh Rojas shit. Bet you wish you had Gino now.
And to be frank, I don't even know what the Mariners would do at third base right now. There's only one good free agent third baseman, and we're going to have to vastly overpay to get Albuquerque's finest. I know you hate it when I say that, but
It's okay,
Bregman,
man.
I mean,
He's got two
I would
rings.
love to see him. I would love to see him up here. I think him going back to Houston is probable. And the Mariners could easily get in the mix. Money talks and shit walks. It's that simple. You have one opportunity if you're in these positions to cash out for the rest of your life, make generational wealth. So you got to go where the getting's good. But man, giant hole at third. The Mariners traded your favorite trade for cash considerations. another middle infielder. I wrote down we must have like 4, 5, 6 second base possibilities. Is any of them any good?
That dude's gonna be great in Double A. What a move! What a move! What a move to make sure that our Double A team is gonna have a good, solid middle infielder. Great move, Mariners. Great move. Meanwhile, the Dodgers go out and sign Seattle homeboy Blake Snell, 5 years, $182 million, to a pitching roster that, as much as I love our Mariners staff, just became the best pitching staff in baseball since all those guys are going to be healthy coming into spring training.
No
And
doubt,
I,
no
and I don't
doubt.
want to. We had that conversation off mic. I think the dumbest argument in sports is you paid your way to a championship. I think that's the dumbest argument in all of sports. I wish my team valued the product on their field and was willing to open up the pocketbook to do what it takes to get there.
Hmm.
You're out of your mind. No, you don't live your real life like that. So why do you expect a sports team to do that? That's a loser mentality. Now, we everything should be even and all teams should only have the same amount of them. Capitalism doesn't work like that. Welcome to America.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yes, sir. Tommy says, F the NFL talk, college football is crazy, man. We about to get into some college football here, here in the take. Anything else you want to talk about baseball a little bit before we hop into other sports?
Well, it's funny Tommy mentioned that because we talked about before the show, even yesterday, that we wanted to go college football heavy. This is a Mariners centric podcast, so we got to touch on them a little bit. The one
We
thing
do.
I'd say is this: Austin Shenton had really good AAA numbers last year with 20 home runs and an 858 OPS. But the dude at 26 has only played 19 major league games. And so I don't really know what to expect except he's going to play well for Tacoma, but I have no expectations on what he could do for Seattle. But I think the huge news for Mariners fans, dude, is Edgar Martinez being named senior director of hitting strategy. I think that's a sign that the front office admits that leaning so heavily into analytics for hitting strategy might not be necessarily the way to go. Edgar's going to bring back the fundamentals, approach, situational hitting. I love that. Analytics are fine, but the fundamentals also matter, and we forgot about that the last few years. And then Kevin Seitzer was relieved of his duties in Atlanta. I have no clue why because he's been the hitting coach there for the last 9 seasons, and the Braves have been one of the best hitting ball clubs of the last 9 years. And I looked it up, dude, and I knew Kevin Seitzer was a good hitter. He's one of the only names of any hitting coach I even recognize anymore. But the dude hit a career 295, 2 All-Star appearances. So I'm really happy with the direction that it appears we're going with an Edgar Martinez and a Kevin Seitzer. It feels like approach and situational hitting plus the fundamentals is coming back to Seattle. We can't be an all or nothing team. That shit doesn't work, especially if you're not going to pay for the bats to get it done, bro. So I'm very happy with what they've done so far, but clearly we still have a giant hole at third and probably a giant hole at second.
And it's tough too because I don't I didn't want to see that Polanco deal not work out that way. I was really excited the night that he showed up, but we got to make moves, man. We got to definitely make some moves. Sorry for looking down. I just wanted to make sure I had it still pulled up. Manager will be Dan Wilson, bench coach Manny Acta, senior director hitting strategy Edgar Martinez, third base coach Christopher Negron, hitting coach Kevin Sicer, assistant hitting coach Bobby Magalinas, Lewis Boyd will be our field coordinator, Eric Young Jr. be our first base coach, bullpen coach Tommy Emmerich, Trent Blake, major league coach directing pitching strategy, Dan Farquhar will be the his assistant pitching coach. Perry Hill will still be our infield coach. Pete Woodworth pitching coach as well. Fleming Baez and Justin Novak as the bullpen catchers. So I definitely believe we have a stronger management staff getting ready to come into this compared to what we did. Now, hopefully, we can all kind of be on the same page now that we've kind of seen that the analytics work when you have the personnel to be able to perform. And like just like you said, if we aren't going to make the investment in the bats to perform that way, we need to get back to the fundamentals. So
Hmm.
good for them as they get ready to turn the corner and move forward into 2025. We'll be here each and every week to complain about what they do and don't do in free agency.
Y'all know what time it is, but we be completely remiss. If y'all don't know, we love the Mariners, but RG and myself are huge college football fans. And what
Amen.
a rivalry weekend it was, man. We got brawls in the middle of the field, people throwing down flags on the opposite logos, football players even getting maced by the police. Talk to me, bro.
Man, it looked like the 95 Source Awards out there this weekend across college football, didn't it? Just some good old exciting. Can't say it how I want to say it, but just remember the views that I give out are not that of Vaden podcast services or YouTube's. So just refer to the tag when we get to talking crazy. But let's go on ahead and start in Columbus, Ohio, with the big game between the overrated Ohio State Buckeyes and the defending national champion Wolverines of Michigan. Game started out exactly how you would expect this game to go out to, despite what Michigan's record may be. The pure animosity and hate keeps one team in the game, whether they have a terrible record or not. If you were expecting an offensive juggernaut of a game, you tuned into the wrong channel. Out there, both teams playing pretty good defense. Michigan was able to get the ball moving in the fourth, found some cracks in the Ohio State defense, was able to score, and then Ohio State wasn't able to get it done at the end. Then the real game began. Michigan is running around the big house with running around Ohio Stadium with that huge maize and blue Block M flag. I still haven't personally seen the video where they tried to plant it, but when they gathered around the O in the center of the field, Ohio State just wasn't having it. And their senior leader at linebacker, he did what I think you're supposed to do. When someone comes into your house and tries to disrespect you that way, meet him with the nine. And since he didn't have that nine, he went in there with his hands in his fist and he took the flag and ripped it off the pole. just was going to defend his territory. Was going to defend his territory. Here's the thing to me. Did you see any of the footage of Ryan Day just standing there looking like a lost child with
That's the
no
indictment.
control over the kids
To
on
me,
the
that's worse
field?
than the loss. That's worse than the
Nothing.
loss.
Just standing there, just lost. Like he froze. Like he had never been a part of a fight in high school. Like he was never a part of a fight at a club, at a bar. He just sat there, just lost, like he was watching a UFC fight. Just eyes full of emotion. Just man, man. I'm gonna need you to hop in here real quick, man. I gotta take care of this dog.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I want to juxtapose what happened with Ryan Day versus what happened with other leaders that were on the field at that moment. So Sharon Moore, the head coach of Michigan, he comes running in there to try to break up the melee. Even the freaking Ohio State athletic director got in the middle of that thing. Ryan Day, the head coach, stands there and sheepishly asks, "What happened? What happened?" And although, I mean, deep down, I kind of like seeing those brawls. But if that's the guy that I need to lead a top 5 college football program in the country, you can't have it. He completely froze in the moment. And then let's go back to the field, though, too, because what Ohio State has lacked since they lost Urban Meyer is toughness, mentally and physically. when we were growing up, if you were a kid in the 80s, if you were a kid in the 90s, even up through most of the 2000s, Ohio State hung their hat on linebackers, running backs, offensive linemen, smash mouth Big Ten football. They have completely gotten away from that. And the one thing I would say, even though I love these type of skirmishes, I love the dust ups, the passion, the anger, the hate. Buckeyes, where the hell was that during the game? If y'all had that sort of fight, that tenacity, and that sort of fire in those 60 minutes in between the lines, they are probably walking to the college football playoff. Now they have to pray that shit falls their way to get in, and they control their own destiny. But like I was saying, when you had to take care of your dog there, RG, real quick, I'll reiterate it. Sharon Moore, the head coach of Michigan, ran up in that melee to try to break it up. Even the fucking athletic director for Ohio State, part of administration, closer to the president than he is the football coach, probably. He got up in there to try to break up the melee. Ryan Day sitting there asking what happened. I as much as I love those melees and skirmishes and brawls and whatnot, your head coach has to get up in there, show the leadership to his troops.
Like, what the fuck do you mean? What happened?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck do you mean? What happened? That that reminds me of a time in our 20s where we're at the tailgate here in Albuquerque and we're playing our rival New Mexico State. And that's back when I used to be able to have fun the way I want to have fun. So I got the blunt lit up, sitting back there. We in the circle, passing the blunt, passing the bone, passing the pipe, having fun. All turn and look, and then all of a sudden there's just this massive circle. Now I looked at the circle just to make sure I had a reason to run in. And then when I see my brother was out there in the middle of the circle, full steam ahead to the goddamn circle. And you got one mission when you get in there. First person that's closest to you, knock him the fuck out. So ran in, sucker punched the shit out this dude. He proceeded to end the fight. Well, you knew what was going down, and like I said, it's what do you mean? What happened? You hear the shit talking. You can hear the people screaming when the mates come out. You can hear, I'm sure, other people yelling, "Hey, stop this shit! Stop this shit!" What do you mean? What's happened? If you were that obliterate, obliterate to a fight that's going on in front of you, that you're just standing there, just what it was is he was scared. He was scared to run in there and didn't want to get himself hurt. He made a business decision, just like not taking a flop or getting dunked on the basketball game. He just zoom right on out the way to save his own hide. The ultimate bitch move to pull at the wrong time when you need to be out there making a stand and standing up for your guys. But now he wants a second hand account of a fight that he had a front row seat to. The hell are we doing?
And he at least could have been a fake tough guy about it. We see these dudes all
Yeah,
the time. Like,
obliterate.
pull me back, pull me
Oblivious is what I was trying to say. I'm just caught up in my emotions, Mariner Lifer. This
back.
ain't an English class, goddamn it.
Okay, easy question then. Should Ohio State fire Ryan Day on Monday, or do they need to wait it out and see if they make the college football playoff and see how this thing
Oh man.
goes?
Here's the tough thing about that. He against all the other Big Ten schools has an immaculate record.
I think it's only one loss.
Only one, yeah, only one loss other than that. But as the coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes, your first job in the list of missions is to beat Michigan.
Oh yeah.
And he hasn't done that. And he has looked bad in two of the losses. And honestly, his behavior after this game makes those other two losses on the scoreboard not look so bad. But can you really have a guy like that leading this program that's spending $20 million in this NIL world to put these type of teams together.
Mhm. That's the key. You said it. That's the key.
Can you really have a guy that mentally soft at the head of this billion-dollar corporation? It's Do I think they should fire him? I'm just an Ohio State hater. Yeah, get this dude the hell up out of here. And they right now, I think they may have to wait to see how their performance goes in the CFP.
Mhm.
Now we also did some dreaming in our off mic conversations that if you do get rid of Ryan Day, I think the first thing you do is pick up the phone and you call Boulder, Colorado. How nuts would that be to see what Deion Sanders can do with an organization that's willing to put $20 million into a player roster?
He's done a great job. I like what Tommy says too. I think Mike Vrabel would be an excellent hire also. Ohio State needs to bring that toughness back though. They have lost that Midwest toughness that has defined that program for most of our lives. And I do like Coach Prime though, and I think a huge misconception is a lot of people think back to Neon Dion and that sort of shit. But if you really look at what Coach Prime does, he is actually one of the more old school throwback coaches left in college football. And just because he has this persona of prime time, not everybody realizes that they still practice really hard, and he has a certain level of expectation that not every coach does. And Ryan Day might fall into that category where they're not practicing hard enough and the expectation isn't high enough and the toughness is then lost.
I just The lasting image of that to me is going to be the players out there. I don't know if you've ever been maced before or
No.
pepper sprayed. That shit is not gangster. That shit is not cool. That shit hurts. And we've all seen the scene in Next Friday where they're pouring water on Day Day's face, telling him, it'll take 20 minutes. It'll take 20 minutes. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit longer than that. And you damn sure don't want to do it with hot water because it's just gonna open up your pores and then it's just gonna run from one side to the other. Um, but the anguish on the guys' faces who got pepper sprayed and just Ryan Day just standing there, just with his hands on his hips, watching the world burn, just says all to me what I need to know about that guy's leadership abilities and that there is none. It turns out that Jim Harbaugh was right. He's standing on third base, but he didn't hit the triple to get there. He was gifted. He was gifted a well-built machine, and really, he doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All that being said, I still think Ohio State's probably going to get in, but we can dive into that, I guess, pretty deep right now. I mean,
Yeah,
it seems like everyone's on the college football train right now. And how could you not be? How fun is this? How fun
it's
is this that
awesome.
we get to have this argue? We get to argue about the college football playoff like we do for college basketball, but it's the top 12. We're not arguing about number 60 and 61, which kind of gets ridiculous to me. But for starters, I think a team we don't really need to talk about much is even if Oregon loses to Penn State in the Big Ten title game, they're the only undefeated left. They're in.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now,
We can,
what does get interesting is if Oregon loses to Penn State,
yes,
that
absolutely.
will make this absolutely crazy. Um, but before we get into the rankings, we still got to talk about two more fights, dog. We still got to talk about two more fights. It was fight night yesterday in college football, so then we'll get number two between the North Carolina State Wolfpack and the University of North Carolina Tar Heels. In this one, you have 70-something-year-old Mac Brown, who hasn't lived up to what it was he was supposed to do. But really, on the back end of his career, he's already done it all. He upset the juggernaut. He got his national championship. North Carolina has some decent teams. He got Drake May. and Sam Howell into the NFL. He's done his job to me. North Carolina State scores at the later part of the game to take the lead, get the W. So here they come with their flag. And this time another player met him at the met him at the meeting post. And he took the flag and ran off with it and tried to throw it in the stands. The difference with this one is you have Mac Brown at 70 some odd years old actually in the mix telling his guys to get off the field,
Mm.
saying the exact same thing that we're saying about Ohio State. You had 60 minutes to fight them. What are you trying to fight for now? Yeah, it's unsportsmanlike for them to do that, but they've earned the right to act like an asshole because they did what they came to do when they came into your house and stole your joy. Had they feet on your couch, fuck your couch, drank your good liquor, smacked your wife on the butt. They came in and did what they were supposed to do. And you have this grandpa out here. And I'm only saying that just because of his age. And when you look at him, that's definitely not the same guy on the sideline in 2005 when they beat USC. He's an old man, but he's in the mix trying to get these 22-year-olds to stop this rambunctious foolishness out here on the field. And it's his last game to coach because they relieved him of his duties.
Mm.
They at least were going to let him coach through the bowl game. And he decided, nah, you guys can just go on ahead and do what you need to do. Let me get this last home game in, and we'll move on from there. But he took the L like a man. Took the L like a man. Not too many people in this society are okay with taking the L like a man nowadays. It's always about the clapback. But he took it and he handled it and he put it into the situation. If I'm Ryan Day, I look like even more of a bitch that a 76-year-old man was out there in the squabble. And I'm sitting out there trying to hide behind somebody trying to, hey, then fight number three.
Bring it back to your team.
The University of Florida Gators and my football team who has turned into Ja Rule's rap career, the Florida State Seminoles. Florida State gets mollywopped like they've been getting mollywopped all season. And here come them Gators out here to plant that flag. And the whole team meets them at the hill. Our coach, Mike Norville, whose heart and coaching ability I have questioned for the last 14 weeks, first makes a pit stop by Billy Napier and tells him, fuck you and your team. You a bitch for out here trying to do this. Beating us right now ain't impressive, dog. We suck. But if this is how you want to handle it, this is how you want to handle it. And then he personally went and grabbed the flag and went and threw it away. So could nobody else do it. And again, Ryan Day was still hiding behind a desk, looking up to see what happened. We had a shitty year this year. Everybody who was on our recruiting either decommitted or went somewhere else. Just they haven't done anything to set themselves up for success the next two seasons. But that single act alone right there, that he was the one that ran in the middle of the fight to take the flag, says something to me about your heart.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can build on that. Some of the guys who haven't decommitted might see that and want to stay. Hey man, tough times require tough people, man.
Yeah.
And not some punk just to sit and watch and see what happened because his feelings are hurt that he can't beat the team he's supposed to be there to beat.
I mean, that's the easy difference between a true leader and someone who's faking it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Sunday night football is starting. Who do you guys have winning? On paper, the Bills should win this game. I'm not sure if San Francisco got any of the guys who have been injured really back. You see the big brace on Purdy's elbow. Snow game. Buffalo should win this. If there is any team that is built to go play in the cold conditions, it is San Francisco by the history of what they've done to Green Bay in recent playoff turns. We'll let you guys get to that game shortly and be able to check it out. But we thank you for rocking with us tonight on My Oh My. It's another sports podcast. Yeah, man. Back to the rankings, dog. Dude, I almost feel that Oregon's been a little disrespected because a lot of the talk into the playoff and into the ranking isn't really so much about them. It's about the SEC, as it should be because that's
Yeah.
the money conference. But a lot of the talk is about the SEC and two, three lost teams where they'll fall in, and all Oregon done is beat everybody. So there's definitely that media bias in it.
Yeah.
There's definitely the SEC bias that's going on in it. While the best team in it is a Big Ten team that just happens to play on the extreme coast of the country.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, man, we're in for excitement, man. We're definitely in for some excitement. There's still some smaller schools that are playing for conference championships that if they end up ranked high enough, some of these blue bloods are going to get bounced out.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, it's going to be really, really interesting. Boise State is in position for a bye. Arizona State is in position to win the Big 12. Tulane could even jump with the strength of their victory over Navy this week. Sorry. Yeah, man, it's a great time to be a fan of this college basketball tournament. I was worried, but every game has seemed to matter. The playoffs, in essence, have already started. I'm glad they got rid of this divisional stuff, and the top two teams are going to play. That doesn't allow a team on one side of the conference to be 8-4 and play for their championship. We're going to take the two best teams and run it back. Georgia's fighting for their lives and had to go to 8 overtimes to survive Georgia Tech. You know that they don't try that hard in that game, and if their season wasn't on the line, but in this new playoff format, their season's on the line. So they've been playing their hearts out ever since. You're going to have some Alabama fans pissed off saying, "What about us?" You're going to have some Ole Miss fans pissed off saying, "What about us?" It's going down this year. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be really fun as it plays out. Uh, the matchup that I'm interested to see is where they do put Notre Dame, since they don't have a conference championship. BYU, if Boise State wins, do they get one of the four automatic buys, which I think that they should, since they are obviously going to finish ahead of the rankings over the ACC champion?
Hmm.
Where will the winner of the Big 12 fall in? And does the Ten get four teams in? Because right now you got two teams with one loss ahead of Ohio State. Are you really going to keep at Ohio State and their massive fan base and people who are going to go travel when these games turn into bowl games and not have half empty stadiums? The economics of this thing are going to get real. And I love every minute of it, man.
Hmm. Well, they already are because we know that now for a fact ESPN and the SEC are in bed together. So we know ESPN is going to be pickle licking every single SEC to the fullest extent. That there's no question about that. But this is where it all gets so interesting. And a lot of people across the country are going to shit on Boise State, but here's where they can really clap back, especially if they beat UNLV and win their conference. Is they went to Autzen Stadium and only lost to Oregon by 3 points. There's only two teams. Oh, that's not true because Wisconsin put up a good fight. But long story short, Boise State gave Oregon as good of a fight as Ohio State did. So to me, that really proves that their conference doesn't necessarily matter. This is a legit squad. We all know about Ashton Genty. You basically cannot play deep safeties against this team. Maybe some team will prove us wrong down the line. But that's where it'll be so fun. huge game, huge conference championship game. Texas and Georgia. Texas 11-1, Georgia 10-2. If Texas loses, they're both in hands down to me. Now, my question to you then, which makes it interesting, if Georgia loses to Texas, ends up 10-3, do you think Georgia should still be in or no?
If they're in, who doesn't make it?
Alabama and Ole Miss are fighting for it. And if I check my notes,
Alabama,
it
Ole
is
Miss,
correct. Georgia lost to Alabama and
Alabama,
they
and
lost to Ole
the
Miss.
Ole Miss, and Ole
So
Miss.
if they lose, we might have to say they're screwed.
They are. They absolutely are. They are playing for their lives right now, which is
Okay.
going to make Saturday very, very interesting. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I can't put them in over those two teams. Does head to head matter? Or are we going based or what does head if head to head matters, they don't stand a chance. Head to head because you're going to have the situation where head to head is going to end up putting Ohio State over two teams that have a better record than they do. But then also at the same on the other side of the sword, head to head could have Georgia in over two teams that they lost to.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Dude,
Very
it's
interesting
crazy.
as they come by. What about
I
South
think
Carolina? What about
they
South
deserve to be
Carolina?
in the
They look
mix.
hot. They look hot.
They do.
What if Clemson messes around and beats SMU? Then SMU completely falls out, and we got a three-loss conference champion in the mix as well too. This is going to get really interesting to see how it plays off, and I do not envy the committee as they move forward over the next 15 days.
I don't know. I think that would be kind of fun though. But I think we got to look at it now more kind of like college basketball, that we got to just kind of look at everything and try to decide who has had a better season. And I know it is subjective, but there's only 5 guaranteed spots. That means there's 7 wild cards, and how you decide it is going to be subjective for those other 7 spots. I mean, this shit's crazy too. So here's the bottom line. If Oregon beats Penn State, Ohio State is in hands down, because now they
Mhm.
have the same record. They beat both those teams. Now, like you said, shit hits the fan if Penn State wins this game, because I don't love Indiana right now, man. And it's basically because their only quality win is home versus Michigan by 5 points. Ohio State crushed them by 23. And I kind of got to ride with the. I'm a big guy on quality wins and head to head. I gotta admit that I'm a big guy on quality wins and head to head, and that's where some of these teams like an Indiana and an SMU might get completely screwed out of this situation. It's not fair at all. Is it subjective, not objective? Yeah, definitely. But we kind of got to ride with what we perceive is quality wins and quality losses.
Name me a big win that Texas has.
Let's look at Texas here. At Michigan by 19. Neutral
That's a big
field.
win, and that's a big win.
I call it decent. I call it decent. Because I'm giving Indiana credit for beating Michigan. I call that a decent win. Big win, no. Absolutely not. Decent win. Neutral field, Oklahoma rivalry game. They won by 31. At
Oklahoma's
Vandy, they
ass.
won by 3. Yeah.
Oklahoma's
I say
ass.
that's okay. They're like
Yeah.
500. At Vandy by 3. At Texas A&M by 10.
All right. Texas doesn't have that eye popping win on their resume as well too. I'm still on the side that says the most impressive win this year is still Georgia at Texas.
Oh, they kicked their ass.
Yeah, that's still the most impressive win this year. And if Georgia loses Saturday, that win doesn't mean anything. This is going to be the toughest selection process that any of these guys have ever had. But I would definitely take it over the BCS, and I'll definitely take it over the 14.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
There's going to be some hearts that are going to be broken, but it really all comes down. to the eye test because what are Ohio State's two best wins? Penn State and Indiana.
Indiana and Penn State. Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, that's not eye popping to me because they should beat Penn State and Indiana. They're $20 million roster.
That's still good wins.
Yeah, still good wins. Still good wins. Penn State struggles against USC, and I really don't see them having a real signature win.
Okay.
You
Here's the
know, it
one. Here's the one for eye test and good wins, dude. Alabama at 9-3. Though I'm looking here, they beat Georgia at home by 7.
mm,
They beat South Carolina at home. They beat
mm,
Mizzou at home. They crushed them. They crushed Mizzou and LSU by 34 and 29. Everything I wrote down here, although Alabama's a three-loss team, I'm just looking at everybody. Alabama has the most quality wins, in my opinion.
they sure might, and they're the
But
farthest down
shitting
the
the
list
bed
right now.
at Oklahoma is gonna is
Big deal,
my
big deal,
that's a big fucking deal.
big deal to them, and they're farther down the list than some of these other teams are right now.
Oh,
It's going
absolutely.
to be the final decision on who's going to be the last seven teams to get in is something that we're going to discuss up and down the board for weeks. But man, it's brought some excitement to it because by this point in previous years, we're really only talking about 3 to 4 teams. And then when the
Mhm.
playoffs started, at least 4 teams were going to get a shot at this. 12 teams right now are going to get a chance to play for the national championship. And even with as dominant as Oregon has been this year, I still think it's anybody's ball game.
Absolutely.
This is going to be fast break football. This is going to have all the excitement of the NCAA basketball tournament, and I, for one, can't wait. December 20th can't come fast enough.
Oh shit, dude. Oh shit. Man, I think it's sometime in mid January on a Monday. Might be not feeling too well on that day.
Absolutely. Got some sick days using, baby.
I'd be remiss. There's one team we didn't talk about yet too, and that's right in Indy super producer Indy Vaden podcast services. But Tennessee is 10-2. Tennessee is 10-2, man. And I'm leapfrogging looking at Ole Miss and Alabama and shit. But Tennessee's up here being like, hey, you're in the Pacific Northwest. Don't forget about us. And guess who Tennessee beat? Alabama. So
Tennessee is in the best position right now because they're
okay.
10-2. They have a good signature win versus Alabama. They just get to sit up with their feet up and watch this thing play out. They've had a good enough
Mm,
season with their record that they're in. So Georgia has a misstep, they're out. The sheer the sheer massiveness of the argument over how many teams the SEC and Big Ten are going to get in might keep Alabama out.
mm,
Tennessee right now has the best second best position other than Notre Dame. If you're Notre Dame or you're Tennessee, there's nothing else you can do. There's not a game you can win or lose right now that's going to determine your fate. Your fate's already sealed. You're in.
yeah.
Everybody else is still fighting for survival. This is great. This is great the way that it's all played out.
It's so fun. It's so fun. Okay. Now I got another question for you then, RG. Boise State plays UNLV for the Mountain West title. Boise's 11-1, UNLV is 10-2. If Boise loses that game, are they still in?
And you keep them
uh,
out. Their two losses on the year come to the number one and the 22nd ranked team. How do you keep them
good
out?
losses.
Good losses. How do you keep them out?
I think that's important. To me,
How do
that's
you keep
important.
them out? They you're gonna drop them from you. It's gonna be highway robbery in broad daylight if Boise State doesn't make the playoffs. If they
Hmm.
happen to lose on Friday, it's gonna be highway robbery on national TV. I said the committee is in a very unenvious position, and I don't want them to keep expanding it either. I think 12 is good enough.
Yeah.
12 is good enough. We're already going to sit through a month of NFL playoff games. Keep it the way that it is. But yeah, Boise State loses. Let the arguments go on ahead and begin. It's gonna be real fun. Boise State loses, then a team like Tulane wins. Tulane will be 10-2 and could possibly be a higher ranked conference champion than the winner of the Big 12.
Mm, interesting. I see what you're saying there. Because they don't have an automatic bid, but just because they don't have an automatic bid doesn't mean that their resume isn't better than some of the teams that are competing to get in there. And I'm with you. Big 12 fans, hate me all you want. I think that they're a one team conference. I
Mhm.
Arizona State or Iowa State, whoever wins, great for you, great season. But I can only let one of those two teams in. And I looked at both of them. Neither of them have wins that are gonna blow your skirt up or anything like that,
And you're gonna get a road game probably against Ohio State.
man.
Congratulations.
Okay. Well, super producer Indy, his favorite college football team, Miami, 10-2 with a heartbreaking loss at Syracuse this weekend. 10-2, damn good record. ACC not the best. Are they in or out?
You better enjoy the Sun Bowl. Y'all are done, homie. You'll be playing in El Paso on New Year's Day. Enjoy the Sun Bowl. No, two. Like I said, this is what's crazy about it. Of the three Heisman Trophy winners, none of there's a potential that only one of them is going to be in the college playoff. But you're going to have the is Miami's loss to Syracuse worse than Ohio State's loss to Michigan?
I'm going to say no way. Because in my opinion, Michigan has a champion quality defense. Their offense has been horrific, horrific this year. And that is why I have so much respect, even though Michigan's only 7-5 this year. But look at some of the dudes. Mason Graham will be a top five, top 10 pick. I can't remember one of their cornerbacks, top five, top 10 pick. Their other D tackle is a first rounder. They have high end pros all over that defense. It's fucking ferocious. That's why I thought it was insane that it was like an 18, 19 point spread for the game, Ohio State versus Michigan. That's insane to me just because the rivalry plus a very, very talented defense against a team that we've been questioning for years, are they soft or not?
It's
So
going to get real interesting, man. It's going to get real interesting because Miami was 6, so Ohio State was 2. They're not gonna bury Ohio State in the rankings, no matter how much I want them to. They're not gonna bury Ohio State in the rankings.
they won't.
Will they bury Miami? Do you keep Miami above where Georgia should be as a 3-loss team?
Mm-hmm.
Does Miami stay ahead of a team like Indiana that only has 1 loss, but a 60 in strength of schedule?
Yeah. Because I mean, Georgia's got some damn big wins. We already referenced at Texas by 15. They also destroyed Clemson by 31 on a neutral site, and they beat Tennessee by 14. So that's what's crazy is Georgia and Alabama fans. If they're out, they're going to be pissed, and I understand why. Because those two
Hmm.
teams probably have the best quality wins of any team in the country this year, but at a certain point, winning has to matter, though. And I will fully admit the SEC is the best conference. I'm never going to trip otherwise on that until we're proven differently. But you gotta win. You can't lose by 21 at Oklahoma. Alabama is absolutely in, no questions asked, if they didn't shit the bed at Oklahoma. So sometimes you got to look yourself in the mirror and realize what you did wrong. You're right though. Georgia wins this game. They're in. I think Texas is in anyways. And for whatever it's worth, I kind of just made my list of top 12, and there's more than 12 teams on my list, but I kind of have like Ohio State, Tennessee, Alabama, and Ole Miss as possible 9 through 12s for whatever that's worth. And that's just because I'm wrong to assume this, but I kind of no, there's no kind of. I truly feel like Boise's going to be ready and take care of business in their conference, and UNLV will be out. So,
Absolute chaos. I need UNLV to win. I need Georgia to win. I need Penn State to win. Then you take Texas, you take Boise State, you take Oregon, and find me four other schools who you're going to put in that mix and still find a way to keep Indiana, Tennessee, the winner of the ACC, and Notre Dame all in
yeah.
and leave out Ohio State and Alabama. Make that happen. Tell me how that'll make sense. This is going to be great moving forward into it. I am here to watch the world burn. This is going to get really interesting. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Where's Bart Scott at, man? Can't wait.
Exactly.
For
Exactly.
real
If I
though,
only,
this is why playing matters though. I just want to say this really quick.
yeah,
I don't believe in Notre Dame, but they absolutely have to be in.
they might have the worst loss of the season to a team
Oh,
that finished
easy.
to a team that finished in the middle half of the MAC
Hmm.
at home. But they've beaten everybody else. So
They have.
Texas is one Texas A&M is one of Texas's best wins. So how can that not be a big win for Notre Dame?
Oh, absolutely. And especially at A&M. At
Mhm.
A&M is a big deal to me.
Sure is. Sure is. Most raucous
And it's
stadium
not
in
their
the
only
country.
good win. It's not their
No.
only good win, too. I wrote this down, man. They got Louisville at home, at Georgia Tech by 18, at Navy by 37, and home for Army by 35. They just really have one shitty loss. Now, I don't think A&M, I would give them a big win. And the other four, not big wins, but quality wins matter to me too. Do
Mhm.
you get quality wins? And then there's obviously the other echelon is big wins. But I've always hated Notre Dame. I don't think they're that great. But you know what? Win your fucking games and you'll get in. Because look, you're right. Northern Illinois is easily the worst loss of any of these teams we're talking about. Easily. But they're still 11-1.
Yep, absolutely. So you're gonna have some craziness. They better hope. They better pray to their heavenly stars that the teams who were supposed to win Friday and Saturday win, or this thing is going to be hot for 3 days.
Oh man.
Yes, sir. Let's do a drop real quick. My oh my, it's another sports podcast brought to you by Veda Podcast Services. We're live each and every Sunday night on the airways of YouTube and Twitch. You could also catch a recorder Mondays and Tuesdays, anywhere where you like to get your favorite podcast from. Tyler, let's talk some NFL here a little bit, man. Last week, for those of you who normally rock with us on YouTube, me and Tyler were both watching our favorite teams live and in person on to wins. Tyler was at Lumen Field watching his beloved Seattle Seahawks from the club seats. From the
Baby.
club seats out there having fun. And I was lucky enough to get to go to the city of Angels, Inglewood, always up to no good, to watch them high flying Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football defeat the Los Angeles Rams live and in person. So, we kind of missed last week, but we're grateful for you that caught up with us this week as we move forward with it. So let's talk about a little bit about some NFL this week. Ty's team survived up in a stadium that gave them the biggest win in their franchise history, MetLife, where they won the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning. Had a little bit of that magic left over, and they were able to get a good win today to help them get solid hold of first place in the NFC West by defeating Jet Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. Ty, talk to me a little bit about where the Seahawks are at and what that race is going to be like in the NFC West as you move forward.
Well, the race is wild. It's absolutely wild right now. Thank you to the Minnesota Vikings. The Arizona Cardinals had a lead for a decent amount in the game on Sunday. The Vikings pulled it off to help the Seahawks reach first place in the NFC West all by themselves. They cannot blink. The road is really tough right ahead of us because the Rams and the 49ers are right there. We we all know the Seahawks are not a perfect team by any stretch. I honestly don't really think they're Super Bowl contenders. You know my stance. There's champion contenders and there's playoff contenders. The Seahawks are really a playoff contender, but there's so many shitty teams in the league right now. There's no way they're gonna lose enough games to get a great draft pick. They might as well go for this damn thing. Two players have been outstanding recently, RJ. Absolutely outstanding. Big Cat Leonard Williams is embarrassing guards and centers left and right. He is absolutely dominated the last two games. I went to countless Seahawks games in the peak of the LOB era, and I've never seen a single player dominate like Big Cat Williams did 2 Sundays ago. So that was outstanding to see. And then Devin Witherspoon, you always get a little bit nervous drafting a cornerback in the top 10, I would say. Cuz who are we getting here? Are you getting Champ Bailey or are you getting a guy that's all right? Well, Devin Witherspoon has been a man on fire recently. One of my favorite plays of the season so far is Kobe Bryant pick 6 2 Sundays ago at Lumen Field. They run a play action boot play with Kyler Murray, who is probably the quickest quarterback in football. And Witherspoon bites. He completely bites, but is so fucking fast. He slams his foot on the ground, turns around, catches Kyler, forces him to throw up an errant pass, pick 6. Big Cat Williams and Devin Witherspoon are kicking ass and taking names. And then on the offensive side of the ball, our run blocking is struggling mightily. We are on our third or fourth right guard this year. Finally, Abe Lucas from Wazoo came back at right tackle. But the key on Sunday was Geno Smith with no turnovers. His completion percentage might go down. The sack numbers might go up. But the killer for the Seahawks is the turnovers and the stupid picks by Geno. If he can just clean that up, maybe his touchdowns and his yards aren't going to be as high. But the turnovers are the critical stat that matters. And then let's just throw it back, man. Fly, Eagles, fly, bro. Your team helped us out in LA. We're talking about big wins and quality wins in college football. What a confidence boost to go into Charm City and get the Ravens.
Absolutely, man. To answer Texas Power Ranger, yes, we both had a chance to go watch our teams play last week. It's a little bit easier for Tyler since he lives in Seattle. I live in New Mexico and there are no professional sports teams here. So I got to go on vacation and started the week off in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, then came back to the States and was lucky enough to get invited to go to Sunday night football in SoFi Stadium. I've only been outside of Jerry World. I haven't been inside of Jerry World. So let me say that as a disclaimer. But SoFi Stadium is off the fucking chain, bro.
Mm.
Great place to watch a game. The atmosphere around the tailgate, Rams fans were more than welcoming, even though Philly did kind of take over. It felt at times more like a Eagles home game than it did a away game, and there was more green in the seats than there was blue. But that's what the NFL and Sam Kroenke wanted, and you can't tell me any otherwise. I was telling Rams fans all day, the Rams don't love you. That's part of the reason why they they're okay with other teams coming in and buying up all the seats in that stadium. They're only there to make money. You know, that's the only reason why you have two teams playing in LA is to give you 16 opportunities a year to make money in the world's fifth largest economy, the state of California.
Mm.
Um, but the stadium is gorgeous, man. Stadium is gorgeous. And from the people who I had talked to who have been to both, say that SoFi blows Jerry World out the water. What I do like about it is that big covering that you see over it. Um, it actually allows for the stadium to actually be an open air. It's not a true dome because it's
Mm.
not truly enclosed in. There's just that roof that's over the top of it. Again, great atmosphere. Was lucky enough to have some really good seats, and was lucky enough to get caught on camera during an AJ Brown touchdown. So the boy's been on national TV during the World Series and Sunday Night Football all in the last 5 weeks. But now, man, shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Went out there. Saquon Barkley had a franchise record 255 yards rushing. Just nothing the Rams could do to stop him. It was sad watching Brandon Graham go down. I've been an
Mm.
Eagle fan for a very long time. In his 15th year out of the University of Michigan, tore his pec. And other than that damper of an injury to a lifelong Eagle who made one of the two top defensive plays that won us our Super Bowl back in 2017, to watch him, to watch what possibly is going to be the end of his career on a injury was sad. But other than that, the defense has been playing fantastic. The All those players from Georgia that we drafted over the last 2 years are starting to mature and fill into their spots. Like Ty said earlier, hit to be able to hit a home run in the draft with two defensive players that's just been magnificent. Quinion Mitchell, and we call him Cell Block Q now, has just been shuts down whoever's on his side of the field. And then today, Baltimore got off to a good start, 9-0, and then we outscored them 24-3 until the last drive of the game, where we're just in prevent defense and Lamar Jackson is out there just running sprints because he doesn't have anything else to really do. Again, defense has been playing well. We've been taking care of the ball, no turnovers. We did put the ball on the ground more than is necessary, but we were able to get him back. So we do need, there's still some stuff to clean up. We're not a perfect team by any stretch of the imagination. There's still times where Jalen holds on to the ball a little too much. Some of the play calling is questionable, but even even Super Bowl winning teams do that. But we're in a good spot. We're in a very good spot moving forward. We do have Carolina and Washington as we come up to try to put a stamp on the division, then be able to get healthy and get to the playoffs. I still think that we need Devontae Smith back just because it gives another element to the offense where that guy might be the toughest wide receiver in all of football. And he's probably the smallest wide receiver as far as his body frame and all the football too. But yeah, man, it was a blessing. Uh, Again, I live in a community where there are no professional sports. So to be able to get to go to four sporting events this year was really, really cool and was a great atmosphere. I understand that NFL tickets, especially NFL tickets, aren't cheap. But if you do have a chance in your local community to go out and support whoever it is that you cheer for, please take it. Please take it. There's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
And it's nice to get away from the internet and social media. People are so much different when you're in person, and I would say in a
True.
good way. When you go to the stadiums and stuff, we
True.
got fans on Bleacher and Facebook and all this shit. They bicker so much, man. And you actually go to the game and get amongst the people, and you're right back where you thought this was. Uh oh, non-contact injury. Mariner Cipher
Yeah.
says, "Well, I'm not watching Sunday Night Football right now because my ADD is too bad. If I put that shit on, I won't even pay attention to you at all, bro. So I
So he
got to go
got the
watch something."
ball moving to the right, and as soon as he got the ball, he just slid down to the ground.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, and he was walking very gingerly, moving towards the medical tent. So we'll,
Okay.
if they give an update. Now I don't have the sound on. Maybe in the control room, that's something that Indy can work on. But if we do get word on what the injury it is before we go live off the air tonight, we'll try to report it to you. For those of you still following with us live in the chat tonight.
No doubt. No
Yeah, man.
doubt.
Got to give a shout out to the Minnesota Vikings. Like they said, they helped you out as well today too. They are probably the quietest 9-3 team in the league right now. The NFC North is going to get real interesting. All those teams, I believe, still go through each other one more time. before a division winner will be crowned. The Chiefs just keep getting miracle after miracle after miracle
Oh,
to go their way. Whether it's off, whether it's a lineman tripping over his own feet, allowing for a punt to be blocked, or mismanagement of snaps on Black Friday, but they are who they are, and they're still the defending champs. And until proven otherwise, the road still runs through them. It does remind me of where Philly was at last year, where we were probably the most fraudulent 10-1 team that has ever existed. But over there on that side, you still have one of the greatest offensive minded coaches that's ever lived in Andy Reid. And you
hmm
do have a guy who's on deck to be next in the epsilon of who's the greatest quarterback of all time. And their defense is still playing well enough, holding teams close enough with doing their jobs to be able to give Patty Mahomes one last chance to get down the field and score. And that's what's exactly what they're doing. Um, we'll get it. Be interesting to see if there's anybody else that could try to press and challenge them as they move forward throughout the rest of the season. But until someone knocks them off, they're still the champs, and to me, they're still the favorite to win the Super Bowl, followed by Detroit, followed by the Philadelphia Eagles, and you can slack everybody else behind the list after that, however you want to.
yeah, it's hard not to love Detroit right now.
He's still a shot of right now is McCaffrey walking up the tunnel to go get checked out, but he was walking better going up the tunnel than he was walking going to the medical tent. So again, if we get something that we can report before the end of our broadcast tonight, we'll definitely bring it to you, man. Definitely bring it to you.
Well, walking's a good sign opposed to the cart, that's for sure.
Ooh, did anybody happen to see the hit on Trevor Lawrence today?
No, man, because no one watches that shit. I'm pissed. Cause all I'm hearing about is people going crazy about that. But I was locked in on the Seahawks this morning.
Pure dirty, pure dirty. Um, Slides gives himself up. Defender from Houston just comes and just in the middle of his slide, just the good thing about it. Well, let's say it differently. What meant a lot to a lot of people about it was as bad as Jacksonville's season has been. When that hit happened, they blew up on that dude. It was a straight middle school fight where you are not touching our boy, and it was 30-on-2, trying and they were trying their best to protect that dude, but it was no holds bar. They went straight after him for that hit on Trevor Lawrence, which says a lot that he still has the respect of his teammates, that he hasn't lost the locker room, that they still rock with their boy, and they went out to defend their guy. But absolute dirty, dirty hit, uncalled for, uncalled for. He was well in his slide by the time that they tried to go out there and make contact with him.
Oh, don't like that. Don't like that. We've seen Aziz Al Shair walk that line many a times when he was with San Francisco. So I
Mhm.
can't say I'm completely shocked. I'm not going to call him a dirty player necessarily because I don't really know, but we've seen him walk the line before, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No need for that. No need for any of that. The guy just clears himself down. Touch him.
Mm.
Just touch him. Just touch him. But yeah, man, Jacksonville stood up. He might be that defender from Houston might be the luckiest man in Duval County because if that had happened on the streets, he'd be in the water.
Yeah, for real, huh?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Wild
Yes,
weekend and
sir.
wild weekend.
Wild weekend, man, and the best is yet to come. Best is yet to come. So buckle in,
So,
pour up your favorite drink, get whatever vice you need. Some of you might need to grab a Tylenol because it might get tricky for you the next couple of weeks, and you might absolutely need it. Ty, anything else you got for the people?
just happy to have everyone back. I'm just thrilled to be back, man. We want to bring it every single Sunday evening. We truly appreciate and love everything that the live chat homies bring to the table. But we're fans and we like to get out there, man. And last Sunday night when I went to the Seahawks game, we took one of my best friend's sons with us and my brother, and it was his son is 10. It was his first ever Seahawks game, and he had a hell of a time. So that was extra special. We've been to bigger games, we've been to bigger matchups, we've seen playoff victories in person. But when you see a kid like that have such a great time, it really does warm your heart. I know I'm getting a little sentimental on this shit, but you know what, man? Like, if you become a fan of a band, a sports team, whatever, it usually starts when you're a kid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The reason why this guy from the middle of New Mexico loves the Seattle Mariners. Uncle was stationed at the military base in Tacoma. My grandmother sent me up there to see them when I was 13. He took me to a Rainy Years game and a Mariner game. Got to see got to see my boy George himself out there on the field. Uh, got to see Edgar, got to see Tino, got to see Dan, got to see Jay Buhner. Fell in love. I'm from the desert, so of course to be in a city like Seattle on the waterfront there, completely loved it. Here I am at 41 years old, and I'm still a Mariner fan. I even still go to Rainier games when they come down here to play the Albuquerque Isotopes, and I go and support the Rainiers because they're the
Good
farm team
stuff.
to my team. So, sports brings people together in a way, in a fashion that nothing else in life does. So, if anything, stay true to that, man. That there's always to be a good argument to have among sports fans, and as long as we keep it sports, you could never go wrong.
There we go, baby.
Yes, sir. My oh my, it's another sports podcast brought to you by the good folks of Vaden Podcast Services each and every Sunday night. You can see us here live on YouTube and in Twitch for the live broadcast. For those of you who can't catch the broadcast, the recording of this episode does drop each and every Monday night, Tuesday morning on whatever platforms you like to get your podcast from. A big shout out to our super producer Indy on the ones and twos in Nashville, making us sound like $1,000,000. Don't forget to give love to his music page, Death to Indy on YouTube. You can find it. Boys got some good tracks up there, some good shit for your soul. Go and give them a play and help the man out. We can't do this without our social media director, Katie Masamoto, keeping us up to date with everything that goes on and giving you content that you can find and get some more of me and Ty when we're not here talking shit live on the air. Follow us on our socials, my oh my ASP. You can find us on YouTube, Twitch, X, MySpace, Facebook. Uh, you can find us on Truth. No, you can't find us on Truth. We don't do none of that. But you can find us wherever it is that you need to, man. And we're always here for you. Best co-host in the world. I couldn't do this back and forth without my man Ty Talk 22 coming to you live from Little Lake Stevens, California, Little Lake Stevens, Washington. I'm your dude RG recording live here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We hope to see you each and every Sunday night as we continue to press forward through the end of college football and as playoffs begin to heat up in the NFL. Thank you for joining us each and every Sunday night live right here on My Oh My. It's another sports podcast.